Hello and welcome to Tales in the Dark. Tonight I'm going to be reading you a story of another's encounter with a being that inhabits these neck of the woods. In the heart of the Ozark Mountains, where dense forests stretch for miles and the night sky is an inky sea of darkness, there lives a terror that few dare to speak of. The locals whisper of it in hushed tones, and even the bravest among them will not venture too far into the woods after the sun dips below the horizon. They call it the Ozark Howler. Legend has it that the Howler is a creature born from the deepest fears of the people who reside in the Ozark. It is said to be a monstrous fusion of a bear and panther, with thick matted fur as dark as midnight and eyes that glow with an unnatural light. Its terrifying wail, a mournful, guttural cry, can be heard echoing through the trees, sending shivers down the spines of those unfortunate enough to be nearby. The first time I heard the story of the Ozark Howler, I was visiting my aunt and uncle in a small secluded cabin nestled deep in the heart of the Ozark Mountains. My aunt, a kindly woman with a twinkle in her eye, had a penchant for spinning yarns about the supernatural, and one evening, as the rain poured down outside, she decided to share the tale of the Howler with me. The Howler, she began, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and trepidation, is a creature born from the darkest corners of the forest. It's said to have a taste for human flesh and loves tormenting those who dare to wander too far into its domain. My uncle, a grizzled woodsman, nodded in agreement. "I've seen things in these woods, boy," he said, his eyes filled with a haunted look. "Things that can't be explained by more ordinary means." As I listened to their stories, my curiosity grew, and a spark of fear ignited within me. I was determined to learn more about the Ozark Howler, even if it meant venturing into the very heart of the woods where it is said to dwell. The next day, I set out with a backpack filled with supplies, including a flashlight, a compass, and a map of the area. The woods are dense, and as I walked deeper into the forest, the trees seemed to close in around me, casting eerie shadows on the forest floor. The air grew thick with tension, and the silence was deafening, save for the occasional rustle of leaves and distant cries of forest creatures. Hours passed, and I felt a growing unease. My surroundings had taken on an otherworldly quality, and the sense that I was being watched became almost overwhelming. I kept telling myself that the Howler was just a story, a legend, but doubt gnawed at my mind. As evening fell, I set up my camp, hoping to catch a glimpse of the Howler as night descended. The wind rustled the leaves above and the darkness grew thicker. I shivered, not from the cold, but from the creeping sense of dread that enveloped me. Suddenly, a chilling howl pierced the silence. It was a sound unlike anything I had ever heard, a mixture of mournful lament and menacing growl. The cries sent shivers down my spine, and I knew that it was no ordinary forest creature. It was the dreaded Ozark Howler. Fear coursed through my veins, but my curiosity drove me to my feet. I flicked on my flashlight and scanned the forest, hoping to catch a glimpse of the creature. What I saw made my blood run cold. Two glowing, evil eyes shone in the darkness, staring back at me from the underbrush. The creature's form remained hidden, but those eyes held a malevolent intelligence that sent a wave of terror crashing over me. I stumbled backward, my heart racing, and the eyes followed, always just out of reach of my flashlight's beam. The howler was toying with me, drawing me deeper into the woods, and I knew I had to escape. I turned and ran, crashing through the underbrush, trying to put as much distance between myself and the unseen menace as possible. The forest seemed to close in around me, and the darkness swallowed me whole. I could hear the creature's howls behind me, growing louder and more frenzied, as if it were gaining on me with every passing moment. I pushed myself to the limit, my lungs burning with each breath and my heart pounding in my chest. I knew I had to make my way back to the cabin, to the safety of my aunt and uncle, but the forest had become an impenetrable maze, and I was hopelessly lost. Just when I thought I could run no longer, I stumbled upon a clearing. My flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows in all directions, and there, at the edge of the clearing, I saw it, the Ozark Howler. It stood there, a nightmarish fusion of bear and panther, with fur bristling, horns curled, its eyes fixed on me. It was a creature of pure horror, and its howls had become an unrelenting symphony of terror. I froze, unable to move, unable to breathe. The howler's eyes locked onto mine, and I felt a sense of dread so profound that it seemed to seep into my very soul. I knew that I was at the mercy of a creature that knew no mercy. But just when I thought all hope was lost, a figure emerged from the darkness. It was my uncle, his shotgun in hand, his face etched with determination. He fired a single deafening shot that pierced the night, and the howler let out a spine-chilling cry of agony before disappearing into the inky darkness from whence it came. My uncle rushed to my side, his face filled with relief. "You should have never come out here, boy," he said, his voice heavy with a mix of anger and concern. "The howler is a creature that thrives on fear, and you gave it what it wanted." I nodded, too shaken to speak. I had experienced terror like never before, and I knew that I would carry the memory of the Ozark Howler with me for the rest of my life. As we made our way back to the safety of the cabin, the night seemed to close in around us once more. The woods remain an enigma, a place where the line between reality and legend blur, and where the Ozark Howler continues to haunt the darkest corners of our imagination. It was a night I will never forget, a night when I came face to face with the terror that lurks in the heart of the Ozark Mountains, the dreaded Ozark Howler. Thank you for joining us in Tales in the Dark, and thank you for that submission. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Have a wonderful evening.